Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about overhead rigs, overhead shots, all that kind of stuff. Welcome to the video. Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to share with you guys something that I've started doing over on Instagram, and also I've included it in my YouTube videos that have really kind of taken my content to the next level, and that is the overhead shot. So actually just the other day I posted this photo right here over on Instagram, and you guys sent me a ton of DMs and questions asking exactly how I shot that photo, what equipment did I use, was it difficult, and I figured why not just make a video showing you guys exactly how I take those types of photos. So that's what we're doing today. Now, realistically, this isn't the craziest thing out there, and it really isn't that difficult, but there's definitely a few pieces of equipment we will need. Now, the first piece of equipment you'll need might sound obvious, but you are going to want a camera. I'm gonna be using the Canon EOS R for myself, but whatever camera you decide to use should work fine as well. Now, next thing you'll want is some sort of a lens. Now, I prefer a wide angle lens for these types of shots so I can shoot it really wide and then crop in post. So I'm gonna be using the Canon 16-35 f2.8 right here. Now this next one is kind of optional, but it definitely does make your life easier. So if you have one, a remote trigger is going to help out a lot. It just allows you to obviously fire your camera remotely instead of actually having to press your camera, because it is going to be up above us. But there are some workarounds which we'll talk about here in a little bit. Now next thing you want to keep in mind is lighting. Now if you're shooting by a big window and it's during the daytime and everything like that, you can totally just use natural light. But for me, just because I don't get a ton of light in this room, I'm going to be using my Aperture 120D Mark II over here, and then also I have a Godox SL60W if I need a little bit more fill light, but you can totally get away with just using natural light if you're shooting at the proper time and by a big window. Now last piece, which is maybe the most important one, is what we're going to actually mount our camera to get it overhead, get it over top of us, and make sure it's not going to fall or anything like that. Now in the past I've used a C-stand, which I have a couple of my lights on right now, which that has worked fine, and actually what I just used was this. I just have a C-stand arm, and then on the end of it I just got like this ball mount right here. I just got this thing off Amazon, which honestly this would work fine. I would mount it just like this on the C-stand arm and then just have the camera on the end of this right here. But this doesn't have a counterbalance, so it isn't the most stable thing. So this does work fine, but I kind of retired using this. Let me show you guys what I use now. So this right here is this nice light stand from Manfrotto, but it actually doubles as a boom arm. So it works just like a light stand normally would, you know what I mean? Goes up and down, everything like that. But the really cool thing about it is you have this right here. You loosen that, you bring this up, you pull this little trigger here, and then just like that, you have a boom arm. So then you can raise that up, you can have a counterbalance, everything like that. And yeah, this is kind of what I've upgraded to. This thing isn't too expensive as far as light stands and boom arms go. I'll be sure to link it down in the description below if you guys want to check it out for yourself. But it is nice that it kind of doubles as just a light stand, so you can use it for multiple things. And you can actually mount a light to it, you can mount a camera to it, anything like that. So kind of has multiple uses. So I think this thing is actually really nice to pick up. All right, so equipment stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and mount the camera up here, and we are gonna be shooting an overhead shot on my desk again. I'm actually just gonna be shooting the photo for the thumbnail of this video, but the same exact principles apply for that photo that I showed you guys at the beginning of the video. It's just a different crop. We're gonna go ahead and mount our camera now. All right, so whenever you boom a camera, you definitely want to counterbalance the weight of it. Now you can use something like a sandbag, but the only sandbags I have here in my office are like 30 pounds, which is a little bit too much for this. You can fill up a camera bag and throw it on the other side, or just get creative and use anything you have. And just to prove a point here, I'm gonna use some Gatorades that I had in my closet. So I got some Gatorades counterbalancing my EOS R, because you know what, why not? All right, next thing, we want to move this light over. Let's go ahead and move this light a little bit closer so we can get some good lighting on the desk. What's this at right now? 54%. We're just gonna bump that up a little bit as needed. Like I said, we're not getting much light in this room right now, so I'm gonna use that. And then also I'm going to move our Godox SL60W. So this is kind of what we're looking like right now. We have the Canon EOS R with the 16-35 up there, shooting down right now. We have the Aperture 120D over there, just adding in a little bit extra light. And then over here we have the Godox SL60W, just adding a little bit of extra fill light to the other side. So this is kind of the frame I have right now. I liked having the grid on so I can kind of see and kind of line up the lines of the desk and the monitor and make sure everything's kind of like squared up correctly. But like I said, if I was shooting a 4x5, this is exactly how I would shoot it. I would just crop in and kind of make it more central. And also if I was shooting an overhead video shot for a YouTube video, this would be the same exact thing. I would just be shooting video instead of a photo. So my shutter speed is going to be 1/125. My f-stop is going to be about 3.5. That should kind of make everything in focus that I want to. And then right now my ISO is at 800, which is totally fine as well. All right guys, so our overhead rig is pretty much set up at this point. Now this next part is what can kind of change a bit. Now I'm gonna be using this remote trigger, which I have it set up to, I think, give me a 2-second timer whenever I hit the shutter button. So I'm going to press this, and then it's going to trigger after 2 seconds. Actually, what I've used in the past, if you don't have a remote trigger, is I actually just set the timer to a 10-second self timer. I'd press the button, then I would kind of like rush, get into my position, and then it would fire after 10 seconds, which isn't the most ideal because it kind of like rushes you to kind of like get in place and everything, especially if your camera is really up high. If you're just holding the camera and it's kind of on a boom arm or something like that, and you're physically pressing the button, a lot of times you can get some camera shake or like some natural handshake holding that camera. So even if you don't have yourself or a person in the frame, I would still use a remote trigger or at least a self timer. So after 2 seconds or 10 seconds, the camera is still by itself and no one's physically touching it. All right guys, so this is kind of what the setup's gonna be now, but at this point, I think I have everything on my desk that I want to. It's pretty clean and minimal for this setup. So let's go ahead and just take a photo. So we're kind of set up here. I can see what I'm looking at on the screen up here, which is nice. So I'm gonna pull the trigger, throw this on my lap, and then yeah. So let's try it out. So I'm just gonna take a couple of these. Honestly, sometimes I feel like a hat kind of makes these shots look better. I don't know why, maybe it's just personal preference, but I think sometimes if like just the tip of like your head is in the shot, it looks kind of goofy. So I think like a hat can sometimes, I don't know, look a little bit cooler in the shot. Maybe I'm just crazy, but let's try it out. And then cool. So I think one of those should work. Let's see what we're looking like now. All right guys, so I just threw the photos on the computer and threw a quick little preset on top of them, and I think they turned out really nice. So I'll show you guys the 16:9 crop that I did first for the thumbnail of this video. I think it looks really clean, really good. And then also I'll show you the 4:5 crop that I used with the same exact photo setup, and I think it also looks really good. So definitely just when you have that overhead camera, just make sure you kind of are shooting wide enough that you can crop it in to whatever you want, or at least get a kind of idea of what your finished products are going to be. But yeah, I think they turned out really sick and really wasn't too difficult. And I really do think an overhead shot, whether it be for an Instagram photo or a YouTube video, a lot of times in YouTube videos, I'll do them for like an unboxing or things like that. I think they really are a unique perspective. I think if someone's scrolling on Instagram, they're more likely to kind of stop and pause on your photo just because that's not an angle that you see every single day. I also think a lot of people won't put in the extra effort just to shoot an overhead shot because they could just shoot other things a lot simpler, but really it doesn't take too much time, and I think it does really kind of separate your content from other people. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed watching today's video. This is something that I use over on Instagram, my YouTube videos, and honestly, you can use it for a lot of different things. So I hope you guys found some value out of this video. And if you do want to check out anything or any of the equipment that I mentioned in today's video, I would be sure to link it below. If you guys have any questions about anything that I did in today's video, drop them in the comments below. But I think that's going to be it for today's video, guys. If you did enjoy it, will you drop it a thumbs up? That really helps the channel out. If you're new around here, consider hitting that sub button. I'd really appreciate it. I try to make content trying to help other creators create better looking content. That is a mouthful. My name is Johnny. Be sure to follow me over on Instagram. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.